Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of my F1 2019 career mode here today for round 6 of season 2 for the Monaco Grand Prix, guys, the jewel in the crown of the F1 calendar. If you guys missed round 5 for the Spanish Grand Prix and the start of the European season, check the card in the top right hand corner of your screen. But now let's jump into business here at Monaco and let's see how we get on in this weekend. If you guys go to enjoy the video, drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And without further ado, let's jump into business. Now for this weekend we have no chance of rain, which is good. In terms of upgrades, we have a triple chassis upgrade on the car for this one, which is going to be really, really good. We have weight redistribution, weight reduction, and also tyre wear improvements, which is going to be really good, and hopefully that will help us out around Monaco. But the big news here is Haas. What the hell have they brought to this track, and what the hell have they put onto their car? Because that is a ridiculous, incredible upgrade. I mean, what the hell is that? Either way, they're now neck and neck pretty much with Red Bull, which is something I never thought I'd be saying this early on in the season, considering how far ahead Red Bull were. And we're very close to Mercedes now. We're putting the pressure on the Silver Arrows, which is good. So let's see how we get on, and let's see if we can try and maybe, overtake them in the next couple of races in terms of upgrades. And currently you can see we're here in Friday practice, and overall practice went pretty damn well. But now we're going to move into an interview after the session to see what Claire had to ask us in the interview. Let's do this.
You had the fastest time in practice. Will we see similar times in qualifying? I think it's great how much your team has been focused on developing your car. You scraped the walls a few times. Were you struggling for grip? Great. Well, that's everything.
And with that, we move into qualifying on Saturday here at the beautiful looking Monaco circuit here for the second time in this career mode for season 2. We're going to get to grips with qualifying and see how we get on. For this weekend, I'm on 106% AI, which is what I actually ran last season. So we finally got some kind of consistency with the difficulty I find, and I'm happy with it overall. So hopefully we can have a good session and a good weekend, and we're competitive, and it's a close fight between the big teams. And I think this is one of those tracks where I think regardless of difficulty, I really think it comes down to the driver skill and what you can do, regardless of what your car should be or shouldn't be performing. So we're going to see how we get on. I love Monaco qualifying. It's probably my favourite qualifying session of the entire calendar year, just because of the challenge it is around here. And I'm looking forward and I'm relishing to get onto the streets and see how we get on as we go through the drivers one by one here, getting ready to get going in this qualifying. And the stakes are at an all-time high, because 9 times out of 10 the grid position around here normally dictates where you finish, especially when it comes to the battle for the win. If you get pole Monaco 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to win the race. So it's important to get this qualifying spot on and absolutely now all of our laps. So straight away we're going to hit the track in Q1 on the soft compound tyres. And it was a pretty straightforward session in Q1, and the soft tyres working well. The car felt pretty damn good. As you can see, through sector 1, a 10th down on Kevin Magnussen on our first sector, and as we now go through sector 2, currently progressing on our lap, and now through the second sector, we're still a 10th and a half behind, but we've made up a little bit of time as we go purple in sector 2. And then sector 3 is actually probably my strongest sector of the weekend. The car's working really good through here. My speed on the straight was very low. I was pretty low on the speed traps, but through the corners the car's really good. And you can see here as we run up to the line, we actually hit the wall a little bit there, but we make up some time. We fall just a fraction short, 0.2 off Magnussen. We do set a purple final sector, but then literally after that lap, 10 seconds after, I retired from the session, and then everybody improved by like a second. So a little bit of a qualifying time glitch there. Luckily it didn't affect us too badly, and we are still going to go through in P11 into Q2. And speaking of which, in Q2, I went for the medium tyres, and in this one, I actually went for a couple of laps. My first lap here on the mediums was okay. We go PA 7 tenths off the pace, but I knew there was a little bit more time in there, and these tyres can go on forever, so I literally had a cool down lap, and I went again, and this was my full lap with the medium tyres around Monaco to see if I could try and improve and shave off a little bit of lap time. Straight away, turn 1, much better through there, really getting a good exit up the hill, and now into Massenet, and that's going to feed into Casino. It's all about getting as close as you can to the walls, of course, through here, without overdoing it and over pushing your luck. As we now go down towards Mirabeau here, look up on the front right, a little bit wide as well as we understeer wide on exit. now down towards the Lowe's hairpin, trying to tap the inside curb for maximum rotation. And to be fair, we had a good sector moment, we threw it away. A little bit scruffy from Mirabeau down towards Lowe's hairpin. Luckily for us, we do get a good exit out of Portier down the tunnel, and we're going to make up a little bit of that lap time on the back straight as we now go down towards the Nouvelle chicane, braking just after the 100-meter board, down to third and then down to second. Really making sure you attack that inside curb and really get a good exit here. I got a little bit of oversteer on the exit as we now go into the back, a little bit too late on the turn in there. I could have created a lot more speed, and now flat out through the swimming pool section and then into the second half of the swimming pool chicane, taking it nice and easy. A big bit of oversteer there on the exit. Luckily we catch it smoothly and we continue on our way through Rascasse and now into the final corner. Again, open up the DRS and we are 10th and a half up here as we run up to the line, and we are going to improve on our lap and we jump up the P7, half a second off the pace, but that lap will be good enough to see us go through into Q3. And we actually went faster than Sebastian Vettel, to be fair, on the medium tyres. I'm the only person to start the race on that tyre, so that could be the X factor in the race tomorrow, especially if the AI2 stop like they did last season. So really good session, really happy with that. We're going to start the race on the better tyre for the one stop, and we're going to see if that pays dividends for us in the race tomorrow. But now we're going to move into Q3, and I went for 2 runs in this session. My first one was actually really good, but then I had to make a correction going into swimming pool because I turned in far too early, and by doing so I completely got offline, got into the dirty stuff and the marbles, and then I understeered and completely missed the chicane and cut the corner and got an invalidation. Ultimately, I finished the lap to get a delta reference, and we actually had a really good final sector and actually would have gone fastest by literally 1.7 or 107, I don't know what to call it, like 1.7 tenths of a second. Does that make sense? Either way, we're now going to go on our final lap and my best lap of the session here, and this one does actually count. So straight away, turn 1, attacking the inside curve, focusing on your exit, as that's going to give you much more speed up the hill as we go towards Massenet. Then down 2 gears, down to 5th, and then later on down to 4th through Massenet. Keep it nice and tight to open up the right for Casino, and then get the power smoothly down the hill, down towards Mirabeau. And it's all about keeping it nice and tight on the inside here, and then get the taps as soon as possible, back on the brakes once again for Lowe's, and have patience through here. Don't get the power too early, otherwise you will pick up some understeer. And then through the next right hander, taking it nice and smoothly, taking a nice bit of curb on the inside, and then Portier nice and tidy, and then focus on your exit here. And we're about a tenth of a second up here through the tunnel as we now go into the second half of the lap. First of all, the Nouvelle chicane down to second here. Really make sure again you attack those curbs a little bit wide, and kind of a compromised exit, and we lose a little bit of time there on the delta, but then we throw it into the back. Really good smooth run through there, flat out over the swimming pool section, and then again for the second half, really attacking the curbs and not hitting the walls and not abusing the walls to try and go faster as we now go into Rascasse. All about gears here and making sure you get them right. And then through the final corner, DRS open, fantastic exit, and we're going to run up to the line, and we are going to go faster than before, which is going to mean we go P1.
Fastest lap so far. Well done.
Cheers, Jeff. And there we go, P1 for us in Monaco. And I spectated the rest of the session and nobody improved. I didn't go back to the garage, I stayed on track and pretty much let the clock tick down manually. In other words, I didn't allow for a time simulation glitch to happen, and I just stayed on the racetrack, and it paid off. As you can see, we got pole position here at Monaco, my first pole of this season, I believe, and the car was fantastic. It was really working well. I had good confidence. I could have gone faster in an ideal situation. Sebastian Vettel only P9, really poor lap, slower than Raikkonen and the Williams, so really strange one there for Sebastian. But overall, we start the race tomorrow from pole position. Let's get into it. It's time for the Monaco Grand Prix.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That was how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean Sea. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. The prestigious Circuit de Monaco then. It's not all that dissimilar today to the layout that made its debut almost a century ago. It's 2 miles and 19 corners through the streets of Monte Carlo, and although the average lap speed of around 93 miles per hour is the lowest of the season, the tiny margins for error make it the natural habitat of the safety car. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Martinez. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
They've been avoiding mistakes and have had solid pace, so it's been a good season so far, but whether they can keep that up long term remains to be seen.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Martinez lines up on pole position with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Weber, Kevin Magnussen, and Gasly, Butler, Raikkonen, Vettel, and Carlos Sainz. Ricciardo, Norris, Max Verstappen, and Bottas, Perez, Giovinazzi, Alexander Albon, and Lance Stroll. Fiat and George Russell ends our grid lineup. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, so here we are then for the Monaco Grand Prix. We start from P1, pole position after qualifying yesterday, and let's see if we can try and pick up our first win of the season. This is the best track for it to happen in my opinion. We haven't won a race yet, and all we've got to do is get to turn 1 and stay in first place. If that happens, our chances of winning the race around here become increasingly likely, because Monaco, as we know, is pretty hard to overtake. So the target is simple: try and get a good start, try and keep the cars behind, and then try and dictate the pace on the medium tyre. And we'll be a little bit slower at first. I think those on the soft tyres behind will have more of an advantage, but as the race goes on, we should see that tyre advantage come in, and I'm expecting the AI to do 2 stops, to be honest. They kind of do around here all the time. The soft tyres only go for 14 laps, so yeah, I think we should be looking pretty good on the strategy front. They could probably 1 stop if they wanted to, but they're probably going to go for 2. So like I said, for me it's even more important just to make sure we get to turn 1 in first place. And it could be a pretty boring race, but ultimately, you know, boring for the video, but I'm driving it, and Monaco is exciting every single corner of every single lap because you're so close to the barriers. With that being said, race strategy, we are going to go for the mediums onto the hards as expected, and fuel-wise I've actually underfueled the car by 0.5 because it's very easy to save fuel around here, and I'm going to focus on having a lighter car at the start to try and have decent pace and also not hurt my tyres as much. With that being said, that's enough for the intro, and we're now going to move into it here for round 6 for the Monaco Grand Prix. Let's do the business. Right, here we go. Let's build up the revs into the optimal zone as the 5 lights come on. Lights out and away we go at the Principality. And Leclerc with an absolute flyer off of the line in the Haas, getting the absolute perfect start. Nothing we can do there. Literally Leclerc just got outstanding traction off the line, and my start wasn't too bad to say I was on mediums, but Leclerc absolutely nailing it off the line. So Leclerc leads here in Monaco, the home hero, the man from Monaco leading the Monaco Grand Prix, and we're down to P2 now in this race, but we are on the mediums. Like I said, that's going to be the big strategy advantage that we have in this race, so we can go long on this first in if we need to and see how things go.
Okay, we're through the start phase. Now let's build on it.
Yeah, let's build on that now. Let's have patience. It's a long race. 38 laps in front of us, so there's a long way to go, and a lot of things can happen in 38 laps, so let's just get our head down and focus on the business. Like I said, the car's lighter, so we should be not too bad for pace early on. Lap 1 comes to the end, and so far I'm going to consider that a relative success, because at least I've got both of the Red Bulls and Lewis behind me, which is good. Weber's currently P3, so as long as I take points off the Red Bulls this race, that's fine by me, so I don't mind losing a little bit to Leclerc, because he's not a direct threat. I feel like I've got pretty good pace so far. Leclerc 11.9.
DRS is now enabled and will be available to use when you are within 1 second of the car ahead in the DRS zone.
As expected, only half second off Leclerc's pace on a slower tyre, and that soft tyre still at its
The
peak.
car behind is dropping back by about 0.3 a lap.
That's the main thing. We've got good pace. Weber's not really putting major pressure on at the minute, so we're quite comfortable in second place, which is good. So let's keep doing our thing and keeping Leclerc in our sights. In case if he does go long, if Leclerc does try to 1 stop, we can use the mediums to put the pressure on once his soft tyres start to feel the wear a little bit. We're going to lap 6. We've got a nice gap to Weber behind. Purple final sector there. Got good pace on these mediums.
Gap to teammate behind is 8.6 seconds.
And up to that point, Leclerc was pulling away. That was the first lap I've actually gone faster than him by half a tenth. So maybe the tyres are starting to find that crossover now, and the mediums are starting to become the tyre to be on, which is good. Another good lap there. Purple final sector once again. Now our gap is down to 2.1. It's starting to come down. I'm actually closer to Leclerc than what Weber is to me. Medium tyres definitely starting to kick in, and tyre wear starting to affect those soft tyre runners now. Car feels fantastic. Got the setup on point, and it wasn't that good in qualifying, but it definitely feels a lot more stable in the race, and I've got that confidence at the minute. And I think the difficulty is spot on, because I think this track just comes down to me and my driving, because Vettel was nowhere to be seen, and yeah, overall. Yep. Overall, I just think this is a very, it's a driver-specific circuit, and I think it suits me because I'm doing 106, and I haven't been that high since Bahrain. So yeah, it's looking good. That was a little bit hot there. First little mistake. Got to be careful with pushing the limits as we start to put the pressure on Leclerc here.
Sebastian is in the pits.
Okay, so Sebastian pits in, so that might be a sign that Leclerc will probably pit in this lap as well. So let's see how this one pans out. I'm hoping Sebastian's going to try and maybe undercut a couple of cars maybe in the process. Doesn't come out any traffic, comes out in clean air and can make the two-stop work. Okay, will Leclerc pit in? Yes, he does. So there we go, he's going to release me with DRS into P1. Back into first place, where we belong, where we deserve to be. Now let's do a few more laps on these and then try and drag it out to the pit window onto the hard tyres. Well, to be fair, Leclerc could go hards, but he's got mediums, interesting, so Leclerc's probably going to two-stop this race. We could have a race on our hands here. Leclerc on the two-stop, of course, but he's got clean air, no one in front, and he's just redone on fresh mediums. So we're going to see the battle of the one versus the two-stop here at Monaco, I think. And we're going to see which one is more effective, because Leclerc's got no traffic, no cars to overtake. So it's going to be a clean scrap to see one who's got the fastest car, who's the better driver, and what strategy is the more powerful. Okay, surprisingly, Leclerc does not set a purple lap on his first lap on those mediums. Lewis does though, 11.8 in the Red Bull, also on the medium tyres. So these two are both going to go for the two-stop strategy. They've got clean air, no real traffic. So this could be interesting. There's still lots of laps for them to make up ground and catch me up. So this could get quite interesting towards the end, I think.
Push now. We're boxing this lap.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to push though, but use lean mix. I'm going to try and get my fuel back on target so I can have a look at the fast lap of the race on the hard tyres. Even though it probably won't be the one, I want to give it a try at least, because I think I've got good pace.
We're leading our teammate by 37.5 seconds.
Yeah, Sebastian's having a terrible race. He got caught up in traffic. The two-stop has not worked for him. He's right at the back of a queue of cars. And dare I say, he probably might have damage or something, because it's been a very poor timing on the pit stop for him. Right then, here we go. Into the pit lane. Nice and easy. No need to speed now or make any mistakes. That'll do. There we go. 49 kilometers an hour out of the 60. Very conservative, very cautious. Here we go, onto the jack. Come on, boys.
Go, go, go.
Pretty straightforward stop there, 2.4. Not the best one we've seen, but definitely not the worst. And we should rejoin. It's going to be close with Lewis, I think. Or not. Actually, we should rejoin quite comfortably in front of Lewis. Okay, now there's Lewis there. That was Veyra I was looking at.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track.
A bit of understeer there, kicking in on the pit exit on the cold hards, but there we go. P3 behind Lewis and also Charles Leclerc. But, at the end of the day at Monaco, what you want is track position, and that's what we've got with this strategy. So all we've got to do is have a couple of decent laps, make no mistakes, and when Leclerc and Lewis pit, they should come out behind us. So yeah, let's get to work and try and win this race. Okay, then we've charged everything up, so we're now going to go for a banzai lap here. This is actually my first time lap on these tyres, but I still want to save some fuel. Now we're going to absolutely go for it and see what these hard tyres can do. Up to temperature. Let's do this. Here we go, 11.6. Purple lap. Job done. Probably won't be the quickest lap of the race, but we might try later on when the fuel burns off a little bit. Maybe in like 10 laps time, we'll try again. I've got one eye on my gearbox, 66% worn. And we've only just going to have a half race distance. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to try and reduce the amount of shifts I'll do a little bit. And maybe run a higher gear than what I normally would through some corners. And see if we can try and limit the damage, because I'm not really sure at what percentage in this game the gearbox starts to stop working or playing up. So we're going to play it safely and try and keep the gear shifts down. Leclerc and Lewis still staying out here, and they're not coming in, so my gut tells me they're going to go for a set of soft tyres. Could a set of mediums go to the end? Surely not. I don't think they can, based off of what mine felt like when I pit in. If they do, then fair enough, we could be up against it here, but my gut tells me they'll pit in for softs. Okay then, so into the final 10 laps, and Leclerc and Lewis are still not pitting. I'm starting to get a little bit worried. Are we going to have to chase after them? I'm saving up fuel on the RS if I need to go chase them down, because I'm starting to think we might have to get a move on here. And the worst thing about it is these tyres don't feel that good, and I'm not going to have that much pace, so I'm going to have to take some risks. Okay, we're going to have to go for it. They're not pitting in. It's go time. We need to push. Risks need to be taken. This ain't good. I just don't have the pace. I can't switch these hard tyres on. All I can do is hope that their mediums start to really hit the cliff. That's all I've got. I really don't have pace to burn on these. They're just not a good tyre.
Okay, gap ahead is 5.1 seconds.
Gap's coming down a little bit now. I'm having to really push though.
Gap to teammate behind is 40.5 seconds.
The less said about that, the better. I'm really having to push though. Lewis has got good pace still, and I'm running out of laps. I need to go faster. I'm relying on lap traffic to do me a favour. Okay, I'm going to go for all or nothing. Banzai lap. I'm going to burn up the rest of my fuel on the ERS. Lewis has actually pulled away from me on that lap.
Not going to be able to run in this engine mode much longer. We're about a lap over target. Drop down to mix too soon.
I will do in a minute. Let me do my lap first, Jeff. Okay, DRS on now. Alex Albon here. Really get out of my way though, that's the question. Come on, move to one side, please, please, please. There we go, that'll do. We'll take that. One down. There we go, Gio gets out of my way, thank you very much. As Lewis finishes lapping the traffic just up the road. There we go, Kvyat gets out of the way. Next up, Lewis Hamilton, we've only got a lap to go.
The gap to the car ahead is 2.6 seconds.
I don't think it's going to happen. I'm on the limit, but the tyres have got nothing more to give. I've got no more fuel or ERS to burn. Leclerc's going to win his home race, and Lewis is going to snatch P2, and they've done a number on me. I really, hand on heart, 100% believe they were going to two-stop that race. Somehow they made a soft medium work, and I've been absolutely hoodwinked. Either way, P3 at Monaco, still a podium.
Good job, you did really well. Super driving.
Great work from the Haas team. They take a famous win here today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
Haas are no doubt happy with today's performance, having secured the win this weekend. And our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations as we speak.
You and Lucas weren't far apart by the finish. Do you enjoy racing against him? You must be happy with the result today. Do you think you were lucky not to end your race with that crash? Appreciate your time.
Right, so here we have the final race results. Charles Leclerc wins his home race in Monaco, and finally we have a winner that is not a Red Bull. Lewis Hamilton still manages to get P2, Lucas Weber P4, as we split the Red Bulls for third place. Kevin Magnussen P5 ahead of Kimi Räikkönen, who drove a fantastic race in the Williams, and then Sebastian Vettel only P7 in the other Ferrari. And in the end, everybody one-stopped, but yeah, overall the strategy caught me out. I genuinely did not see that coming. I thought AI starting on the softs, going on to the medium. I thought they would go on to another medium or another soft, and that's not the case. They just seem to have really good tyre wear around here compared to me. So yeah, disappointed. I really am. I thought that was my win. I really did from the get go, and that's what happens. When you really thought one thing was going to happen, and you didn't really factor in or account for other scenarios. But yeah, that's the top 10. Now let's move into the standings. And after that race, quite interestingly, Lewis is going to extend his lead, which is not something I expected, and not something that I had planned on. However, we do cut down the gap to Weber a little bit, and the good news is we do bring home the extra point for the fastest lap as well. So we're 15 points behind Lucas Weber. Charles Leclerc leaps straight up to P4 with that win, overtakes Butler and Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel and Butler equal on points, and then Gasly one behind those two. In terms of the Constructors' Championship, though, we are second behind Red Bull, and we've got a decent gap to Mercedes of around 43 points. And hopefully we can try and extend that and try and close down Red Bull. The next race is Canada, a race where last season, again, we tried the one stop, it backfired, the two stop was the way to go. So this season I've got my eye on the two stopper already, and we're going to try and add some upgrades to the car. I think we've hit our team goal, so we should get an extra 600 points. Otherwise we wouldn't normally be able to afford an upgrade, but because of that team goal that we've hit, we should be able to add some upgrade points and hopefully go for some extra upgrades into Canada. So let's do that, and let's jump into the laptop. Okay, so here we are then on the laptop, and we have pretty much 1,500 points to spend, and there's lots of options in terms of what we can spend it on. But if you look at the bottom of the screen, the chassis is still a little bit further behind the powertrain and the aero, so we're going to work on the chassis again, and we're going to get two more minor upgrades on this, one for the weight redistribution and also one for the weight reduction. So we're going to go for one of each, and we should be able to afford them both and get them on the car for Canada, if it will let me purchase it, which for some reason it's not letting me purchase it. Insufficient resource points. Okay, it went up. Okay, never mind. It was 700 points before. It won't let me now. So can we go elsewhere possibly? I feel like aero needs some work. We could get a front wing upgrade or a rear wing upgrade. What about this ultimate one? That's tempting. Do I wait? No, you know, I'm not going to wait because we've got points to spend. So I want to use them, and I want to have that instant performance. So for the next race, we're going to improve the front wing, have a little bit more of a bitey front end, and the 129 points left over. That's going to give us a little bit of an improvement. We should maybe overtake Mercedes in the next episode in the R&D graph, as you can see on screen right now, if we're lucky. If they don't bring any upgrades and both of our upgrades arrive and they don't fail, we should overtake Mercedes. So let's see how we get on. But if you guys did enjoy the episode of Career Mode, then drop a like on the video, and also get subscribed if you are new for daily Formula 1 content, and turn on notifications to not miss a video from me. And finally, check out these two videos on your screen if you have missed them. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you on my next one very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.